Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, and today we're going to talk about SVOL. First of all, big shout out to Eric. I got to talk to Eric yesterday. Have his cell phone number. He can't hide from me anymore. Actually, he's always volunteered to talk to me. So I really appreciate that compared to other people. So big shout out to Eric. We walked through this whole backwardation, and there was a couple things that Eric shared with me that I'm going to share with you. That way you have a better feeling of what is going on with SVOL. So first of all, you should really consider this to be like a drawback to the S&P 500. It's not always up and to the right. There are drawbacks. And that's all that we're experiencing right now with SVOL. Actually, today SVOL is up, but it's still in backwardation. Let's quickly talk about backwardation and what this could actually mean for you and the future of SVOL. First of all, backwardation only happens approximately 15 to 20% of the time. 80% to 85% of the time, it's in what they call contango. So backwardation is when the slope is backwards. Right now, it's a very steep backward slope. Actually, this is actually a good time to be dollar cost averaging in and a time to buy SVOL. You should have been buying SVOL and not dumping SVOL. Secondly, what Eric shared with me, by the way, this is my friend today, the pen. So Eric shared with me, this is not the first time it's happened. And you know Brad. Brad likes to say, let's go look for the data, because if history tells us what happens, we will see it in the data. So Eric shared with me a screenshot. Trust me, I do not have a Bloomberg terminal now. Eric, if you want to give me a Bloomberg terminal, I'm always in. Just saying. So going back, Eric pointed out, or he mentioned it's happened in the past. So Brad goes, all right, Eric, let's go see what happens. So sharing the picture, both dates where the arrows are in the drawdown, right before you see price appreciation and the funds go up northwards, there is backwardation. It's there. I looked. So let's talk about these. It happened in March and it happened in October of 2022. So let's bring up those charts, because you'll want to see the backwardation, because I'm trustworthy, but let's actually look at the back data of when this occurred. March 7th, 2022. That looks like backwardation to me. The slope is totally the wrong direction. Now, for all those that want to talk about ZIVB, and they talk about they don't have this issue because they roll them 3 to 4 months out. Well, 3 months is 120. Just saw her throw it out. 3, 4, 5 months. That's backwardation, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to affect you. Backwardation also happens with ZIVB. So don't say we're not affected because of how far they roll them out, because they are. And the other point that Eric pointed out to me during our conversation is they're underweighted on the VIX right now. So they're not as heavily weighted on the VIX as they used to be, because they're professionals and we're paying them to do this for us, because I'm not going to be able to write these like they can. The second time that I went out and saw this was in October. I found the data. October 10th, we're in clear backwardation. Again, for those ZIV beers, you are definitely backwardation. It's happening to you too. You can't escape it. If you look at SVOL and what happens afterwards, the price appreciates. The volatility goes up. Well, does the volatility go up? I don't know. Brad would have a chart on that, wouldn't he? In March, volatility ended up going up shortly afterwards. And in October, volatility was at the highest. So you can see the volatility. Remember, the volatility of the VIX increases the amount of premiums that they can make. So we are actually excited. That this is going on. Buying opportunity, VIX is increasing to over 20 now on a regular basis. This is more of a buying opportunity for SVOL than a selling opportunity, because let's look at quick distributions of that time frame, because we're putting this all into perspective. If I look at distributions during that time frame, during the higher VIX times right after backwardation happened, you notice that the premiums went up. Again, only looking at the data that Eric mentioned, but he actually didn't share it with me. So next time, Eric, can you do the homework for me and point this out to me a little more so I don't have to go looking for it? But I really do appreciate that he told me this has happened in the past, so I could go back in history to give it to you guys of this is what happened in the past for you to understand what's going to happen in the future. Next, let's talk about the underlyings. Because remember, some of their underlyings hold bonds and treasuries and everything else. So what was expressed to me, their duration of their bonds are about 2.5 years. The good rule of thumb is for every 1% of Fed cut rates, we should see a 2.5% increase or decrease. So if the fund rates were going down by 1%, we should see a 2.5% increase in the underlying of their bonds. Now their treasuries, I've done a whole video about treasuries and how they're actually affected with inflation. And as inflation continues to go down, according to CPI this week, we should see inflation start taking hold of these treasuries and helping them go up in value also. So what we're looking at is two scenarios. Backwardation right now, which is giving us a drawdown. Eventually we'll turn to contango. So this is a buying opportunity to get in at a slightly lower price so we can turn around to get those distributions. I just did the quick math. They're paying about 15%. That's a pretty good number, especially if I'm only pulling 8% and reinvesting that 7%. This is again why I do that. When funds consistently pay and go up and to the right, it's a good fund to be holding. Hopefully this explains why I'm staying into SVOL and not selling SVOL. And you can make your own decision. I'm just presenting the data so you can see what happens after contango to SVOL and their distributions or possible distributions, because they just had a cut and it was a conservative cut. But we get back up into the 20s, and Eric did not say this, I'm just speculating on this. We get back up into the 20s and stay in the 20s and we're in contango and we hit 20, 25, maybe even 30 and stay there consistently in contango, I have a feeling that they'll make money and they're going to pay it out to us. Eric did express that they have to pay out these premiums to us. It's not like they get to keep the money. So keeping that in mind, contango is coming. And when contango comes, we end up profiting from it. And they'll end up putting a little more weight into it during contango, especially right after coming out of a backwardation. Again, me speculating on that. So if I'm wrong, Eric knows my email. He now has my cell phone number. And I'm sure he'll be talking to me. Until next time, God bless.